Hey. Good evening, USA, Canada, worldwide. Long Island, aka Strong Island, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. This is your man, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, YouTuber, essential worker, host with the most, misunderstood lonely nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, and rookie podcaster of Queens, New York. And you're rocking with the 80th episode of Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, live and direct from StreamYard, YouTube, and alongside of myself is the Instagram live feed of the podcast show page. Make sure you follow that page on Instagram. Turn on the notification bells so you can be reminded of when each episode is going to be dropping and when I'm going to be on your Instagram live feed. So there you go, right there. Anyway, if you're new to the channel and you missed any previous episodes whatsoever, please feel free to grab that subscribe button and turn on the noti bell so you can be reminded when the show goes in the air via live stream. Um, Especially when the show starts recording at a particular time. And of course, you can stay tuned for more video content, upcoming episodes, previous episodes. In case you missed any of them, all of it is already uploaded to the YouTube channel. All the videos is already uploaded to the YouTube channel page. So you can catch up on any episodes you missed. Leave a like and a comment along with the episodes, along with the review topics that's going to be discussed. And of course, tell a friend to another friend, and I'll handle the rest at the end of the show where you can listen to the podcast episodes at the end of the show. So there you go, right there. Okay, now that I got that out the way, how I'm feeling mentally, physically, and spiritually, you ask. Well, I did go to work this past week, this past Saturday. Yes, I did. And for the most part, I'm doing the best I can. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I say that because I remember my dad told me over the years to, not to think too far ahead of myself, because when you do that, you're basically driving yourself crazy with all this excess baggage and the burden that you got to carry over your shoulders, which is not something you want to endure. And it really hit me to the point, like, I'm really trying my best to, not get too stressed out on certain stuff. And yes, it can be hard. It can be hard at times. And yeah, it's just some people have a hard time finding a balance in certain things versus the ones who can. So for me, since I have a job and I am managing, trying to, build up my career in this field right here. But first and foremost, look, I know certain people been asking me about, you know, TikTok and stuff, right? But at the same time, TikTok don't work for everybody. Okay, it does not work for everybody. I just don't understand why. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really the typical person who is and I said this numerous of times on not only this podcast, but I said this numerous of times on the New York podcast episodes ago, that I never intended to be famous or look for clout, because that's not who I am as a person. And I'm not gonna just go ahead and be famous and lose sight of who I am as an individual. That is like asking for trouble. That's not something, and that's not something I really want to endure, because for me, I just Think about the thing about being famous, and I said this millions of times, is it makes you feel like you're not authentic. It makes you feel like you're not you're not you know being real. It makes you less real, which means you tend to lose sight of who you are and you tend to push people away because of the fame and glory. And I don't want to be that person. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be that person. And if I end up doing something like that, then it makes me feel like I'm losing the people that I care about. You understand what I'm saying, folks? I'm pretty sure many of you are under high expectations and, and a lot of pressure, trying to be all known out there and stuff like that. All that is all that's all good and stuff, but you know, fame, buzz, and all that other stuff, it doesn't last. It's not gonna last forever. It's not gonna last forever. And the reason why I never really consider being in the entertainment industry is because they only care about fucking they only care about celebrities that's well known. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be a part of something. I don't want to be a part of something if they only care about celebrities as far as like what do what do you do for me now? Like, come on, I don't want to be a part of something where I'm not wanted. Is that even worth being fucking famous and shit? No, it isn't. Cause this shit's not worth it. And I said this time and time again through individuals through text messages that I do not like clout. I'm not a clout chasing typical person. Stop pressuring me into fucking being a clout chaser. I'm not doing that shit. I don't care. All right? That's not who I am as a person. And I don't want to be that person who who is basically pushing people that I care about to the side for fame, glory, and buzz and shit. Like, come on. And I said this news of times. The reasons why I started three podcast shows is because I needed something therapeutic. I needed a skill. I needed a skill of what I wanted to do as far as career wise. This is my skill. And I can't let no and I'm not gonna let anybody take that away from me just because of 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 whatever it is. Now now as far as trying to do other things as far as like as far as like supporting myself and shit like that. Look, I thought about having a second job, but at what expense? But at what expense? You know what I'm saying? At what fucking expense? Look, I never wanted to look. It's not something. It's not something I really too much think about, though. You know what I'm saying? And even if I took a second job, I don't know if it'll really, really benefit me as far as like trying to, as far as like trying to. Excuse me, sorry about that, folks. Just sneeze. But it's not something that I really think about too much. I don't like thinking too far in the future um, of 5 to 10 years from now. That's too much of a high expectation to me. It's a high expectation that I can't really see myself, worrying about because number one, it's like I like to take things one day at a time. Not some high expectation of you know of getting another job because of a good pay. Like, come on, man. Look, it may work for some people, but I don't know if it'll work for me in my favor because Because number one, I never intended to. I never really intended to see myself, working like 5 or 6 days a week or 7 days a week of that matter it's because I'm more worried about being able to have time for myself at times because for the sake of my mental health and for somebody to ask me about for somebody to mention about ramen about not amount to feed or whatever. I never planned on having kids, okay? I never planned on having kids. I don't know anything about being a dad the way mom was to me 11 years, like when I lost him 11 years ago. And I'm not going to, and look, I'm doing the best I can, man. I'm not into, I'm not into being, like I said, I am not interested in being famous. Industries don't care about local people. They care about celebrities. That's relevant. That's it. And I'm tired of trying to explain myself, man. Right? So anyway, man. So I just had to get that out the way before we even get this episode cracking. So mentally, I'm a little conflicted, but I'm doing okay. Physically and spiritually, I am doing all right for the most part. Even though it can be tough at times, but doing what I can to not give up. That's all that matters to me, man. Not fame and glory and all that other shit, man. No, I'm done explaining. All right, all right. We got some music Kool-Aid to get into, and in today's episode, we got a music artist to review who goes by the name of Devvon Terell, and along with some upcoming albums that's coming up, and of course the 50 best albums of 2022, alongside with um, some gaming news of upcoming games and reviews and stuff. So here we go, man. We're gonna get into a little thing that I like to call music Kool Aid. It is. All right. Like I said, we got a music artist who goes by the name of Devon Terrell. Now, Devon Terrell is an American singer, rapper, songwriter, and record producer. He is known for his remixes to popular songs online on YouTube. As of October 2020, his channel has received over 800,000 subscribers and over 170 million video views. Wow, that's a lot. Um, okay, Devon Terrell was born in Brooklyn, New York City on October 6th, 1988. From his early youth, Terrell aspired to become a musician. He told Forbes, like any other musician, I've been doing this my entire life. I was in college getting my degree in computer information systems, and I realized that I really didn't want to sit behind a computer for the rest of my life. When I graduated, I decided to go to Full Sail University for my audio degree. That was like musical boot camp. It really solidified the fact that music is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And of course, from 2010 to 2014, career beginnings. In 2010, Terrell released two mixtapes with rapper Young X titled April Fools and Download or Die. In July 2012, Terrell released his first music video to his song My Senses. He then went on and released his debut extended play, The Living Weirdo underscore O, in September 2014. The album was supported by the singles I Like It and hashtag WCW. From 2015 to 2018, Weird, Sexy, Cool, Coast to Coast, The Renaissance, and Weird Nights. On August 18, 2015, Terrell released his debut studio album titled Weird, Sexy, Cool, which included the single Tell You Off featuring Whit Lowry. On December 13, 2015, Terrell released a remix to the song Blaze, um, Blase, or Blaze, however you pronounce this. But with rapper Futuristic, they later announced that they would be releasing a collaborative album titled Coast to Coast. And leading up to the release of the album, they would release various remixes to popular songs and dub them as 12 Days of Christmas. The album was released on December 25th, 2015, and debuted at number 82 on the US Billboard 200 chart and at number 12 and 10 on the top R&B hip hop albums and top rap albums chart respectively. On September 12th, no, excuse me, on September 2nd, 2016, Terrell released his second extended play titled The Renaissance, which included the single Why So Serious. The EP went on and charted at number 27 on the top R&B hip hop albums chart and at number 11 on the top R&B albums chart. In April 2017, Terrell released his third extended play titled The Mixes. On October 6, 2017, Terrell released his second studio album, Weird Nights. The album was supported by the single Temperature. He later went on and released Weird Nights, The Intermission, a follow-up to the album on November 16th, 2018. 2019 to the present, the Raw Sound, Volume 1 and Volume 2, Deja Vu. Following the release of Weird Nights, The Intermission, Terrell uploaded a video to his channel saying that he would stop making music. On March 24th, 2019, Terrell returned to making music with him, later rebranded himself while also making lo-fi music. The song Take Me Serious was later released 5 days later. He later went on and released various singles from his album titled The Raw Sound Volume 1. The album was released on July 26, 2019. A follow-up titled The Raw Sound Volume 1 B-side was released in September 2019. In May 2020, Terrell released his sixth extended play titled Social Distancing Together. On October 20, October 2nd, 2020, Terrell released his fourth studio album titled Volume 2, Deja Vu. The album was supported by two singles, Home Record and You Trippin'. And yes, yes, of course. I did listen to his album Boys Don't Cry actually, which is what we're going over today. And he got a nomination for nominated work influencer campaign for Streamy Awards. DiGiorno with Red Food, Diamond White, Madeline Bailey, Marcus Perez, and O Fresh. Now is yeah, like I said, the music discography, whatever. I did listen to his latest project actually, so let's get into that right there. So his particular album, I believe, yeah, Boys Don't Cry, yeah, yeah, Boys Don't Cry, and he has a new single called 2 a.m. He has a new single called 2 a.m., which I'll check out. Um, yes, so the album Boys Don't Cry includes the track listings includes leaving the nest, better, let it go, Boys Don't Cry, Karma, wasting time, hating interlude, popular, my type, sneaky link, IFWU, Come Home, and Flowers Freestyle. All right, so as I said, I did get a chance to listen to his latest album, and it's pretty decent, pretty cool. It's relatable to what I actually been going through all my life. Actually, it may not be relationship related, but it's like other things that I can relate to. So that's what I like about music artists these days. Though they they like in their songs they like to tell their stories of what they've been going through, what is everyday struggles, whatever it is. It makes a lot of people relate to you. Not the fucking drill music and the fucking auto tunes and all the other shit, man. That's not really relatable to me, man. That's not relatable to me. So you know what I mean? Yeah. Um, you can listen to his music along with his singles on every streaming platform where you get your where you listen to music, and also you can listen to him on as one of the co-hosts for the Need to Know podcast with Savon, Alex, and Reggie. Um, every week, every week on streaming platforms, including their YouTube channel. So go subscribe over there. All right. So all right, let's get into some other stuff right here. Let's get into um, let's get into some stuff right here. Best albums of 2022 so far. All right, and this is according to Billboard. The big album releases of 2022 happened very slowly, then all at once. After a big first weekend of unexpected rollouts in early January, the calendar laid mostly bare for weeks and weeks on end, with just the slowest trickle of movement until this past month, when the blockbusters finally started bursting through the door at overwhelming volume and velocity, making up for lost time in the blinding blur of activity. And now here we are, already nearing the year's halfway point, even though it feels in many ways like things only just kicked off in earnest. Most people, excuse me, most of those huge recent drops are represented by Billboard's list of our favorite albums of 2022 so far. Major releases by major stars that dominated the headlines and blanketed the charts. But so, of course, are the albums that filled the time in their early absence, set by old favorites still getting it done decades into their career, and by brand new acts who we could have never predicted emerging in time to make some of our favorite music of 2022. They are the LPs that prove that even when the A-listers take an extra few months to emerge from their hibernation, there's no such thing as a slow year for great music. Here are our staff's 50 favorite albums so far in 2022, and let's hope the momentum of the past month's schedule keeps up for the rest of the year for artists big and small. So starting with Amber Mark, Three Dimensions Deep, ladies first. Amber Mark has embraced sonic variety throughout her career, fusing house rhythms with pop melodies, launching R&B into outer space, and taking Nirvana classic Subterranean all in the past few years. On her debut album, finally unveiled this January, Mark pulls from these varied corners of her catalog for 17 new funky um, buoyant and confident songs united by her velvety alto. Mark seems well aware that this is a long awaited release, singing openly about pressure and anxiety. which is in the mental health category, folks. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to a project, which I'll probably be able to review in a couple of days actually. So, but she keeps herself grounded, whether she's managing expectations of success on one or of relationships on most men, where she issues the timeless reminder that most men are garbage. Shit, damn, damn, son, really? Yeah. Of course. Up next, let me see. Wait. So anxious, little greenhouse, pounding, pretty wounded, wound up, whispery, roaring, connect, emo band. Anxious packs it all into the taut, savagely melodic little greenhouse. There are a slew of exhilarating moments across this album's 32 minutes. The tangled guitars that hurl the listener into growing up song. The radiant falsetto vocals ping ponging through the background of Wayne and the whole of Call from You, a frenzied onslaught about how hard it can be to pick up a phone. This is too much for me, Grady Allen sings. But in the morning, I'll try again. Avril, Avril Lavigne, Love Sucks. Heh, of course, Love Sucks, man. Like a ticking time bomb, I'm about to explode. Avril Lavigne screams, a gleeful threat kicking off Cannonball. Love Sucks through, no, excuse me, Love Sucks full throttle opener. The album her most faithful pop punk exploration in ages finds her once again firing on all cylinders and back in the top 10 of the Billboard 200 for the first time since 2013. With its bratty sing-song refrains, earworm choruses, and spiky guitars, it'd be tempting to write Love Sucks off as merely a nostalgia trip, but what's so wrong with nostalgia anyway? Besides, there's a clear vein of dare we say it, grown-up grit and empowerment throughout the set, which feels like evolution for Levine, whose crystalline belt and rebel yell are still both very much intact. Babyface Ray, face, darting from a comforting prayer reciting by his pastor father into piercing 808 Mafia beat on 6 Mile Show, Babyface Ray recreates the very juxtaposition that defines his existence. On face, the underground favorite remains true to all things Detroit, the offbeat by a millisecond cadence, slightly proper, slightly street accent, while reaching new commercial heights through his unsurprisingly nonchalant storytelling. The dark tales he recounts on tracks like Tunnel Vision and Me, My Wife, and Kids can only occur in a city where, for 5 months out of the year, thick gray clouds are relentless, and the cold pierces like 10,000 pins and needles. But despite the city's unforgiving climate, Ray's narrative affords grace, intimately sharing an all too familiar story with vulnerable honesty. Of course, Bad Bunny on Verano Senti. Everything about Anvarado Senti, from its title to its beachy cover to its mix of frisky experimental bangers, makes this the ultimate warm weather soundtrack. With this set, Bad Bunny delivered 23 songs that mostly step away from his signature trap and her real essence, navigating other rhythmic um, sounds such as bamba, mambo, dembo, reggae, bossa nova, EDM, and even indie pop, all of which represents his summers spent in Puerto Rico. The Infectious LP, which many fans are hailing his best work, debuted at number one on the Billboard 200 albums chart with his best first week um, numbers to date. Yeah, let's say congratulations to Bad Bunny because he won the MTV Music Awards for that one. Let's make some noise for Bad Bunny right here. All right, Becky G. Becky G's best album to date is wonderfully curated, chock full of hits, set that mines her versatility from merengue in Falanito with Alpha to the introspective Dolores, where the veteran star tackles mental health, which I agree. While Blockbuster Mommy with Carol G may be the set's linchpin, after all, fans have waited what feels like a lifetime for this collab. There's also lots to relate to in songs like current single Bailey Con Me X. I danced with my ex. A mid-tempo club track and gratifying surprises like singer-songwriter Alina Rose being brought to the forefront in the wonderful 60s inspired flashback. Becky G owns each track, sentiment, and vibe, proving that she can do it all. Big Thief, Dragon New, Warm Mountain, I Believe in You. If it's title and art, a pencil sketch of a bear playing guitar around a campfire to an audience of an owl, a sparrow, and a T Rex are any indication, Big Thief's Dragon New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You should be the band's most eclectic and rambling offering yet. Indeed, the mighty 20 song set is a lovable grab, filled with everything from sobering ballads, of course, change, to um, eph- ephemeral rubber band snapping fun, Spud Infinity. Sure, Big Thief may be one of the most lauded in the outfits of today, but on Dragon New Warm Mountain, the Adrian Lenker led band proves they are unconcerned with keeping the status quo. This freedom and confidence makes for a wonderfully sprawling project that will keep you guessing from cover to cover. Blast before you go. The LA crooner born Matthew Dean Burdett sets new heights for himself on his sophomore project Before You Go, with swelling string arrangements on the Grandmaster Vic assisted Pick Your Poison and classic 90s samples like Ella Cool J's Around the Way Girl on Every Good Girl. Blast questions his lover, lover's loyalty, and pleads with her not to leave him. He glides on every hook without compromising. His signature West Coast bounce, making blast music a late night drive staple after solidifying himself as Forever Humble on his debut No Love Lost. He switches gears with his latest offering and confidently states, but the top don't look too far from me. Bonnie will rate just like that. Deep into the slow burn of just like that highlight, blame it on me. Rate hits and holds a high note that proves her bluesy vocals have never been stronger. The marvelous familiar mix of the rock and roll Hall of Famer's voice and bottleneck guitar, the prominence of a B3 organ, and the solid funk of her longtime rhythm section all helped this set debut at number 1 on Billboard's top current album sales and Americana's folk albums charts in May. But the lasting power of Just Like That comes from Rates on lyrics here. Rich with empathy for the grieving mother of the title track, who finds peace for the prisoner of down the hall, who finds compassion, and for the survivors of living for the ones, a hard charging post slandemic prayer for all of us. Give me 1 second. Kate LeBon Pompey. After the stellar 2019 Avant Pop effort reward, Welsh artist Kate Lee Bond explores deeper terrain in her sixth album, Pompeii, written and composed alone in Cardiff during lockdown. It's a meditative album which asks the question, how do you make music that sounds like a painting? A tidal wave of feelings about existence, grief, and faith fizzles into a dreamscape on songs like Moderation and Running Away. Bond sings with bittersweet poise throughout the album, her voice suspended in time while a steady groove drives it all forward. As she says, the grief is in the saxophones. Yes, yes, that's interesting. I used to listen to jazz years ago. Um, there's some songs that's relatable, and there's others that I can't really relate to because I've never been in relationships or been on any dates. So it's kind of hard for me to relate to every song. So it's so you know everybody's preference is different. So that's just my take on that. Anyway, so Charlie XCX crash. Charlie XCX hasn't been shy about her fraught relationship with her Atlantic record label, and Crash, the final release in her 5 album deal, sees her finally free from their control. As she cheekily sings and used to know me, Crash interrogates the concept of selling out by producing mass appeal bangers, and though Charlie certainly manages to deliver on the premise, almost every track feels like it could be a single, and the product itself proves that she's much too interesting to be simply written off as mainstream pop on the glitchy Eurodance of the Rina um, Sawayama featuring Beg for You. She expertly elevates the clubby hook of September's Cry for You to unexpected heights, while New Shapes sees her making avant-garde 80s pop with the help of fellow top 40 subverters Carolyn Polachek and Christine and the Queens. Even on purported commercial compromise like Crash, Charlie can't escape her adventurous experimental streak, and thank God for that. Of course, Conway the Machine. God don't make mistakes. Within the Buffalo based Brazil universe, they say West is the brains and Benny's the star, but Conway the Machine is the silliest with the bars. And yet there was still something a bit mysterious about the machine, something that he hadn't quite put together in words yet. God don't make mistakes is the answer to any questions about him. The toughest, most confident, and most emotionally real he's ever been. Telling his story in a way that is simultaneously dispassionate and affecting, taking the listener on a sightseeing tour through his life without getting too caught up in the effects of the trauma. Collaborations with Beanie Siegel, Lock Load, and Lil Wayne and Rick Ross Tear Gas are fantastic, but Conway carries more than enough weight on his own, and when he links with his Griselda co-stars on John Woo flick, the whole crew shines. Earl Sweatshirt, sick. Give it to you straight, no frills. Earl Sweatshirt raps to Open Six. Um, Penultimate track, Titanic. Um, he's not wrong at a 24-minute clip. You might need to run the rapper's fourth studio album back a second time to get you through your morning commute. With brooding production and few choruses to latch onto, Earl instead opts for an extended spotlight on heavy verses on from himself and his cohorts, seldom departing from a conversational tone, but never needing to do so to get his points across. Still, for now, excuse me, for how blunt Sick is throughout its entirety. It's amazing how much magic there still is to unpack in every additional listen. LMA, Heart on My Sleeves. 4 years after breaking through with her eponymous debut, LMA returns bearing it all. With Heart on My Sleeve, the London R&B singer-songwriter delivers an unapologetically vulnerable and mature collection of tracks detailing her personal encounters with love's triumphs and troubles. Singing through heartache on songs like Break My Heart and feelings of intense infatuation on A Mess and Leave You Alone. The 28-year-old leans into the idea that no matter how daunting falling in love may forever be, it's rewarding enough that she will still choose to do so every single time. Islaban, Armato, Nostalgia. Eslaban Armato's Nostalgia will not only go down as one of the best albums of 2022, but also as a historic success, becoming the first regional Mexican album to score a top 10 position on the Billboard 200. 14-track set thrives on a teenage group's sad Sereno essence, led by frontman Pedro Tavar, who injects pathos to his delivery, while also providing prickly guitar that sounds as emotional as he does. Nostalgia also allows Tovar to shine as an instrumentalist with stripped down heartache songs, also occasionally powered by piano or ukulele. Finneck, A Couple Good Days. On A Couple of Good Days, Austin house producer Finneck strives to recreate the nearly perfect buzz he felt as at an Indianapolis tiki bar one night, all the way back in 2019. Sample based tracks nail that heady, playful space, sometimes groovy, sometimes silly, propulsive as the evening picks up. Wait for the rap verse at the end of Blasting Bounce. And slightly more contemplative as the night whirls on the handsome, charming B&B. A glorious night out can be elusive, but a couple of good days ensures you can recreate one in your living room whenever you want. Okay, so we have FKA Twigs, Capri Songs. Though it was conceived as just a mixtape, FKA Twigs January release, Capri Songs has proven itself to one of the most cohesive records of the year thus far. The set shows Twigs at her most bubbly, still with the same grit, melancholy, melancholy, and melancholy is what I was meant to say, and sexuality laced throughout all of her music, but freed by the mixtape format, emerging from the pain and weightiness of 2019 sophomore LP Magdalene, to sound better and more self-assured than ever. To listen to Capri songs is to become a fly on her wall, watching Twigs as her friends pregame before a night out or gossip about the latest guy to do them wrong, dynamic and candid and seemingly effortless. Let me see. Effortless. Okay. All right, Florence and the Machine, Dance Fever. Florence Welch proves that she's one of the contemporary rock's best established album artists with Dance Fever. Very possibly her most lyrically, thematically, and aesthetically cohesive record yet. Pairing big sounds with even bigger existential questions about womanhood and inner power. With the help of producers Jack Antonoff and Glass Animals, Glass Animals, Dave Bailey, she's able to curate one of the few post slamdemic albums that tackles lockdown solitude induced personal crisis without feeling contrived, all the while perfecting a narrative voice that's unflinching, divinely feminine, and oftentimes supernatural. Future, I never liked you. Of course not. there's no there's no denying Future's gold and platinum mark track record since debuting on the scene with Pluto a decade ago. While this follow up to 2020's High Off Life has received mixed reviews, there's also no denying that fans still find the toxic personality and booming bangers that are Future's calling card to be irresistible. The album earned the rapper's his eighth number one on the Billboard 200, thanks to the sweet mid-tempo Hot 100 chart topper "Wait for You." Guest um, appearances from Drake and Thames, who has the song "Free Mind" right now. The latter via a sample of her "Higher." And additional standouts like Puffin and Zooty on Zooties and 7:12 p.m. I don't know what a Zooty is. Don't don't ask me that. Oh man, don't ask me that shit, man. I don't know what that shit is. But anyway, gonna DS Forever. The first 2 months of 2022 undeniably belong to Gunna, courtesy of his album DS Forever. By placing a bow on his seminal Drip or Drown series, Gunna delivered a chef's kiss of an effort fueled by surefire anthems, of course, P Power with Drake and Too Easy with Future, and gut wrenching Candor, Living Wild and Die Alone. While Gunna's unflappable energy was commendable, his swagger on DS Forever vaulted him to mainstream glory, as proven by his head-to-head win on the charts against the Weekend Dawn FM and the top 10 Hot 100 success of the LP's culture-shifting single "Pushing P." Harry Styles, Harry's House. When Harry Styles first opened the door to Harry's house, he was still coming off a wildly popular tour to support 2019's Fine Line, its Billboard 200 topping navigation through heartbreak and enlightenment. But on his third studio album, Styles best in a happier mindset, combining breezy funk and 2012 Tumblr reminiscent indie pop to create a whimsical state of falling in love as heard in late night talking, while still remaining vulnerable, like in Satellite. It's fun, it's groovy, and with lyrics like "I could cook an egg on you." Oh shit! Oh man, Harry's house definitely makes us want to stay for dinner. Yeah, Kalani, Blue Water Road. In a world as chaotic as ours, Kalani is looking for some peace of mind. Blue Water World, yeah, excuse me, Blue Water Road. Her earnest third studio album, the R&B star opens herself up to love and connection, and never questions whether or not what she's doing is the right thing. The swaggering braggadocio of her past two records, sweet, sexy, savage, and it was good until it wasn't. Remains any given Sunday featuring Blast sounds like a groove heavy, deep cut off of either LP. But the brashness has largely been replaced with a cool, earned confidence as songs like No, Everything and More Than I Should Flex and emotional maturity, becoming of an icon in the making. Kendrick Lamar, um, Mr. Morale, and the Big Steppers. I can't please everybody. Kendrick Lamar repeatedly protests on Crown about halfway through his Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers double album. Untrue. That's exactly what the world beating rapper did on his fourth official LP, 2017's universally acclaimed Damn, but it's probably not something he could do his whole career, especially while dealing with some really messy questions about the world and his place in it. Kendrick's stunning fifth album is unlikely to endure as the same level of beloved blockbuster, but its reach exceeds its grasp. That's only because he's rare artist able to make an expansive 18 track odyssey commenting on everything from intersectional intersectionality to cancel culture to Drake versus Kanye and still make it mostly feel like one guy just trying to sort his own shit out. As a wise man once noted, if you can't please everyone, you may as well try to please yourself. Exactly. Exactly what I'm trying to tell people sometimes. Lotto 777, or as they say, 777. Lotto hit the jackpot on her sophomore album 777 by expanding her Atlanta trap palette and scoring hard hitting features. The slinky pop rap earworm Big Energy, which interpolates Mariah Carey's Fantasy, earned Lotto her biggest Hot 100 hit to date and invited a remix from Mimi herself. Rapper even gets ATL's own Childish Gambino to make a rare appearance alongside Lil Wayne, no less on her self-described hood gospel album, Sunshine. With 777, Laura reaffirms she can be a formidable force while still discovering herself after experiencing a pivotal rebrand and finding mainstream success. Let's see that grandma's two ribbons. It's the British jewel of Rosa Walton and Jenny Hollingworth demonstrated that they could sling Madden maddeningly catchy hooks on 2018 breakthrough LP I'm All Ears. Yet follow up Two Ribbons is sonically and emotionally richer. Written following the death of Hollingworth's boyfriend at the age of 22 due to cancer. Yeah, Two Rivers meditates on grief and recovery with richly atmospheric synth pop songs that find a rewarding balance between maximalist and sparse. Little Dirk's 7220. Dirk was probably the best storyteller to emerge from the Chicago drill scene of a decade ago, and definitely the most melodically gifted. But it's only really been in the past 2 or 3 years that he's finally found his footing in a consistent way in music's mainstream. And with 7220, he seems to be more self-aware than he's ever been, clear-eyed about his place in the world, coming to terms with drug use and abuse, and trying to find a way to overcome the violence and street life that has followed his ascent and which continues to cloud that path. The result is his best and most assured solo album so far. The Linda's grown up, girl power, and representation. This punk quartet of teens and a preteen who probably tout themselves as half Asian, half Latinx went viral with racist, sexist boy a year earlier, but their April 2022 debut album proves there are no one hit wonder. When not calling out a racist classmate, they offer introspective lyrics that transcend age and background. On Magic, for example, they sing, "If I was invisible, no one would judge me for wanting to be by myself. But I'm already invisible enough without anybody's help." What's more, the songs have hooks great enough to get all kinds of listeners bobbing to the beats. Lucky Day Candy Drip, following his 2019 debut album Painted, Lucky Day has become an R&B mainstay and shining example of the genre's up and coming new generation, adding to his usual stripped back old school approach to the genre. The New Orleans native um, sophomore album Candy Drip is a collection of soul pop songs that are sweet, sour, and everything in between. Candy Drip 4 and Me, I Daydream, Can't Breathe If It Ain't Me. He croons on the album's bass driven title track. The song's about sex, toxicity, and romance, and shirtless, honey covered artwork adding to the sultry experience. Candy Drip is as delicious and addictive as its title suggests. Maureen Morris' Humble Quest. Maureen Morris' third major label studio album was born of a series of life shifts for the country star over the past 2 years, including the birth of her son, the death of her friend and producer Busby, and the uncertainty and loss of touring wrought by the COVID-19 pandemic. Morris draws on her strength and hope throughout the set in songs such as "The Career Chronicler," "Circles Around This Town," the pensive ode to her son in "Hummingbird," and the fearless title track. The project debuted at number 2 on Billboard's Country Albums chart, showing how many listeners are still happy to follow the singer songwriter on her latest quest. Michelle, after dinner, we talk dreams. If after dinner we talk dreams is any indication of what kind of discussions collective Michelle have at their get-togethers, it has to be one of New York's most sought after invitations. The sophomore album from the most queer group is full of tasty lyrical beat, lyrical bites, and an honest depiction of love and life for a younger generation, with influences from multiple genres and a confidence foraying into each. Zero of the set's 14 tracks should be skipped. Miranda Lambert, Palomino, nearly 2 decades into Miranda Lambert's storied career, her albums function more as um, travelogues than anything else. Trips through traditionally non glamorized parts of our fair country with a hard living, world loving Lambert as our guide. You'll be whipping out our you'll be whipping out your camera every 20 seconds while seeing America right with the country legend, riding through the desert on the horse that gives the album its title on Acting Up, all rolling down a river alongside New Wave greats and B-52s on Music Queen. No, excuse me, Music City Queen. You thought that you thought the West was wild, but you ain't saddled up with me. Lambert teases on if I was a cowboy. Huh. And the 15 tracks with her. You'll never want to ride shotgun with anyone else. Oh shit. Oh shit. That's really fucking funny right there. Oh man. Mitski Laurel Hell. Oh no. Not hell. Not hell. You really oh my gosh, man. Really? Why hell? Okay, coming off a 3 year hiatus during which she which she half accidentally garnered a massive following on TikTok. The indie singer songwriter Mitski returned with Lord Hell, her highest charting album to date. Over 11 tracks that clocked in at just 32 minutes. The singer-songwriter lays bare the frustration and alienation that come with fame in a mosaic of free verses and punchy sit hooks. The stadium-worthy highlights like Love Me More and The Only Heartbreaker continue the pop-friendly sound of the cowboy cuts that made her a viral sensation, but the singer also ventures into more personal territory with ballads like Everyone and discusses emotional vulnerability through blunt sexual innuendos on the album Stand Out, Stay Soft. Omar Apollo Ivory. Omar Apollo will admit the rising singer-songwriter completely scrapped his initial debut album, wanting the body of work to be even better, no matter how long it took. With Ivory with Ivory finally released this April, Apollo hit a home run, crafting a magnificent and shimmering sonic surface which he skates over with sultry R&B jams, killing me and twisting genre explorations, Invincible with Daniel Caesar, paired with up-tempo pop hits Go Away and Mexican ballads in El Olvido, just like the ones he grew up on. Orville Peck Bronco. Not to be confused with the Denver Broncos, folks. Bronco is Orville Peck's best material yet. For his second album, the cult star moves away from his Roy Orbison meanings and more sees on over the full-fledged country, taking his place in the genre with such confidence, any listener would think gay men were its very forebearers. It's deep drawl croons about love and depression for more than an hour. But by the end, it feels like time to start the ride all over again. Push a T, it's almost dry. With Pharrell's iconic introductory four count giving way to the gut quaking 808s and cocaine coated nursery rhymes on album opener Brambleton. Pusha T's It's Almost Dry wastes no time on momentum building antics. On his Force O LP, Pusha hones in on what and who he knows best, as the album is an executive produced by longtime collaborators Pharrell and Kanye West. Both mega producers bring out Pusha's strengths. With Ye's Just So You Remember, invoking the power of the former Clips rappers' theatrical storytelling and audibly jaw-clenched tone, and Pharrell's Call My Bluff, mimicking a sinister funhouse as Push's laid-back air translates as near demented. Coming down from its drug-induced high, the album ends on a spiritual note. Pusha returned to God on Pray For You, alongside of the Brink and Brother Malice. Randall King, Shot Glass. Shot Glass may be this Texas Troubadours um, debut major label project um, out on Warner Music Nashville, but the skillfully crafted album proves King has a well-defined musical vision and the musicianship to execute it. The Bart Butler and Ryan Gore produced projects steeped in fiddles and smooth steel guitar, all adept to the influence of 80s and 90s country hitmakers, including George Strait and Earl Thomas Connery. Songs like Record High and Baby Do place King squarely among the best of a new generation of artists, offering a fresh take on a classic sound. Raven Lene, Hypnos. Several well received EPs from 2015's Moon Shoes to 2018's Crush set the stage for Raven Lene's strong debut album. At age 23, the single songwriter is definitely creating her own R&B lane. Vibey, electric beats with melodic touches and um, ethereal layered vocals whose soft to soaring range has been compared to Minnie Riperton and Janet Jackson. Also refreshing in her lyrical approach to topics like sensuality, heartbreak, and kindred spirits of the magical hippos. Nay recently told Billboard that it's her stepping out as my fully loaded self, a coming out project. I'm putting my stamp on the industry. Oh Lord. All right. Rosal- Rosalia Motomami. Rosalia waited nearly 4 years from her 2018 groundbreaking El Mel um, Cura debut to release her new studio album. Moto Mommy is a sharp departure from that acclaimed set, uh, light on collaborations, um, and full of unexpected sounds and sensations. It's an urban album infused with reggaeton, but in between there are also touches of flamenco and boleros. Irony and erotica. Rosalia says she wasn't making a commercial album, and she's right. Motomami's tracks are complex and raw. They define expectations and they require multiple listens to appreciate their layers, but stay with it to appreciate the homage to reggaeton found in Sako. Um, the other worldliness of Como Una G and the rapturous beauty of her vocals in the palms of the company on Bulerias. This artist will stick around a while. Sebastian Yatra, Dharma. With Dharma, Sebastian Yatra learns not to limit his creativity. He previously explained to Billboard how doing yoga and going to therapy made him adopt a new philosophy in life. And after this, he discovered a new way of writing and creating music by going to the studio with a more open mind. As a result, this 17 song set is his most eclectic album yet, dabbling in punk rock, um, cumbia, vallenato, and flamenco, reggaeton, and pop, and really representing who he is as an artist. He also peels back intimate layers of himself and fuses his Viveti vocals infused, with the angelic singing of Alina Rose on um, Curate Bonito, which he calls the album's masterpiece. Hold on. Um, all right, Shamir, heterosexuality. With heterosexuality, underground favorite Shamir summons a sonic haze that's part shoegaze, part industrial, and part lo-fi indie, while also dipping into hip hop and bossa nova to create an album that sounds as foggy, confused, and amorphous as gender, sexual identity, and life itself ought and feel. But the clarity of the songwriting and Shamir's peerless well pierced through all of it. With songs about nightmares, broken friendships, and self love of various degrees of literalism, landing as some of the most devastating songs of any genre this year. I'm just existing on this godforsaken land, he proclaims on the anthemic Sice gender, reminding you what an accomplishment that is for any of us. All right, Sharon Van Eaton. We've been going about this all wrong. Okay, Van Eaton had just moved to LA with her partner and 5 year old when the slamdemic hit, turning her home and its newly built recording studio into a petri dish that produced one of the most empathetic, visceral, and replayable albums of the year's first half. Though COVID and other 2020 conflagrations, of course, hashtag BLM marches, wildfires, earthquakes served as catalysts for the songs. Van Eaton smartly keeps them in the background, creating a timeless album that confronts subjects for which there is no vaccine, the yins and the yangs of parenting, hard won careers and relationships that have lost their spark. With her malleable, soulful voice, Van Eaton um, evokes a wide palette of emotions: despair, longing, fear, hope, and on the single mistakes, a blast of give no fucks giddiness, making we've gone about this all wrong. A tunnel of love ride well worth taking. Okay, Stray Kids, Ordinary. The commercial success of Stray Kids, Ordinary, which debuted at number one on the Billboard 200 chart upon its release and delivered the group to a larger world audience, soon overshadowed the artistic triumph of the seven-track project. Ordinary mixes pop hooks, rap cadences, and dance tempos in a manner familiar to mainstream K-pop, but each song lands with a dazzling intensity from the wind-up electronic slither of the Venom beat to the breathless vocal workouts of Freeze. Swedish House, Swedish House Mafia, Paradise Again. Swedish House, Swedish House Mafia had their heyday a decade back, and this year's Paradise Again is likely not the LP they would have made while the apex kings of EDM, but releasing their debut album as the cornerstone to their comeback serves the trio well, with the guys leaning into their influence and passions without succumbing to forgettable trend forward dance jams a younger group may have felt pressure to make. Instead, the album demonstrates maturity in both sound and decision making. And while marquee collaborators, including The Weeknd, Ty Dolla $ign, and ASAP Rocky, aka Late Rocky, give the set crossover cred. The tracks made exclusively by the trio are Where Paradise Again really shows what Swedish House Mafia is capable of now more than ever. And let me see. Um, all right. Let me see. Tears for Fears, the tipping point. You can be forgiven not for expecting much for Tears for Fears, first new album since 2004. After all, the English duo, it's almost gave up on the album as creatively depleted during the recording process after returning to acoustic guitars and introspection. The enduring synth pop greats rediscovered their mojo and bounced back with the tipping point. An album that finds them at their contradictory best. Muted yet anthemic, wounded but unbowed, and mournful with ever losing that sliver of hope. No, excuse me, sliver of hope. All right, I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop right there, though. I'll get the rest next time. Now we go to the 50. Now we go to upcoming music albums. Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that though. Man, hold on. All right. Now, as we are approaching September, um, so September 2nd, Megadeth, the Dying, and the Dead. Rina Sawayama, Hold the Girl. Young Blood, subtitled. September 9th, you got Built to Spill, When the Wind Forgets Your Name. John Legend. Kane Brown, Different Man. Ozzy Osbourne, Patient Number 9. The Afghan Wigs, How Do You Burn? September 16th, Blackpink, Born Pink, Def Cab for Cutie Assault Medals. Marcus Mumford, self-titled, Muramasa, Demon Time. NCT 127, Two Baddies, Noah Cyrus, The Hardest Part. And yes, and 5 Seconds of Summer, 5, um, 5, SOS5. Kelsey Ballerini, subject to change. So there you have it right there. I'm actually going to stop right here. So I'll get to September 30th and along with the rest in the next episode. So now, we're going to go into, all right, let's get into some video game news and stuff, man. We're going to get into that right now. So video game stuff, man. Let's get into it right now, man, because I want to actually make sure that things is all good. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right. All right. Here we go. All right. Now we're gonna go to hold on, hold on, hold on, folks. All right. All right. Now we can go to the video game chamber right now, though. Here we go. Hey, hold on, man. All right. Um, Now that we are approaching fall, we get into some stuff. So let's see. So, all right. Now, I did go over Grounded, Hoco Life, and some others. There's all right. All right, so Life is Strange Remastered Collection um, for Nintendo Switch, September 27th. The Fridge is Red for PC, September 27th. Also coming out on the 27th of September is Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Tunic, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, September 27th. Um, okay, let's see. Let's see this. I did talk about Tunic already, so I'm not gonna really read that. I did talk about that. Um, all right, so Door from Mantic, Nintendo Switch, September 29th. Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, September 29th. Also coming out September 29th is Valkyrie Elysium, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, um, and also um, plus another game that's coming out on the 29th is Valkyrie Profile Lilith, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. And we go to October. Overwatch 2, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, Nintendo Switch, and PC October the 4th. Now we go to Near Automata for Nintendo Switch. Comes out October the 6th. So let's get into the review and what it sells. Shall we? What the hell? All right, so a common combination for games with open worlds is how alive the surroundings feel. With bustling cities and sprawling crowds, many titles draw players in by immersing them in a vibrant setting. Nier Automata takes the opposite approach. It forges an identity in, in the desolation of its post apocalyptic world. From the perspectives of multiple android protagonists, you slash through an army of hostile machines and explore a war blasted landscape that invites you to consider the preciousness of life through its absence. A ruined Earth populated solely by killer robots is an unlikely place for quiet and potent moments, but near Automata's ability to pull them off is its best feature. No humans remain on the planet, so machines and androids struggle to find purpose. Through a mixture of quests and brief exchanges, you encounter machines who read the works of long dead philosophers and androids driven mad by never ending conflict. These scenarios are accentuated by a haunting soundtrack that establishes a, a perfectly bleak atmosphere. Even though some scenes are stilted and forced, the strangeness is consistent, and the characters are compelling enough to keep propelling you forward, often in spite of the gameplay. Beyond their similarly melancholy, 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 excuse me, backdrops, the connections between Near Automata and the original Near are peripheral. Um, anyone can jump in with this title, and develop Platinum Games has ensured that the combat system is accessible to players of all skill levels. It looks a lot like the stylish action of Bay Bayonetta. Also from Platinum, with their characters performing flashy dodges while executing a variety of range and melee attacks. Um, the format occasionally switches to a few different takes on the top down shooter genre, um, making you maneuver through a screen full of projectiles. These departures are neat, are but are more like mini games than fully featured encounters. The core battle system is fast paced. The third person action that provides simple fun, but a lack of meaningful progression prevents the gameplay from being satisfying over the long haul. Now, before I continue with the review, I did forget to review. There's an old movie that came out in the '90s that's the same name as the as Devvon Terrell's latest project, which is the same name as the movie, which is rated R. It's also titled Boys Don't Cry, which is the movie, and I forgot to review that, which is my apologies right there. Yeah, my apologies with that right there. My apologies with that one right there. Okay, so let me just. So this is more like a movie. This is more like a movie segment. You know what I'm saying? So let me just go through this, and then I'll continue the rest of the review for the game. So Boys Don't Cry is a 1999 American biographical film directed by Kimberly Pierce and co-written by Pierce and Andy uh, Beanin. Beanin. The film is a dramatization of the real-life story of Brandon Tina, played in the film by female actress Hilary Swank, an American trans man. Oh shit! Who attempts to find himself and love in Nebraska, but falls victim to a brutal hate crime perpetrated by two male acquaintances. Film co-stars Chloe Savigny as Tina's girlfriend, Lana Tisdale. Oh boy. Yeah, so Hilary Swank, Chloe Savigny, Peter Sarsgaard, Brandon Sexton III, Alicia Gorson, Janetta Arnett, and Matt McGrath. So the budget was $2 million, but it made exactly 20.7 million dollars. After reading about the case while in college, Pierce conducted extensive research for a screenplay, which she worked on for almost 5 years. The film focuses on the relationship between Brandon and Lana. The script took dialogue directly from archive footage in the 1998 documentary The Brandon Tina Story. Many actors sought the lead role during a 3 year casting process before Swank was cast. Swank was chosen because her personality seemed similar to Brandon's. Most of the film's characters were based on real life people, others were composites. Filming occurred during October and November 1998 in the Dallas, Texas area. The producers initially wanted to film in Falls City, Nebraska, where the real life events had taken place. However, the budget constraints meant that principal photography had to occur in Texas. The film's cinematography uses dim and artificial lighting throughout and was influenced by a variety of styles, including neorealism and the films of Martin Scorsese, while the soundtrack consisted primarily of country blues and rock music. The film's themes include the nature of romantic and platonic relationships, that the causes of violence against LGBT people, especially transgender people, and the relationship among social class, race, and gender. The film premiered at the New York Film Festival on October 8th, 1989, before appearing at various other film festivals. Distributed by Fox Searchlight Pictures, the film received a limited release in the United States on October 22nd, 1999, and it performed well at the North American box office, gaining three times its production budget by May 2000. The film was acclaimed by critics, with many ranking it as one of the best films of the year. Praise focused on the lead performances by Swank and Savigny, as well as the film's depiction of its subject matter. However, some people who had been involved with Brandon in real life criticized the film for not portraying the events accurately. Boys Don't Cry was nominated for multiple awards at the 72nd Academy Awards in 2000. Swank was awarded the Academy Award for Best Actress, and Savigny was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. The pair were also nominated at the 57th Golden Globe Awards, with Swank winning the Best Actress Drama Award. Boys Don't Cry, which dealt with controversial issues, was initially assigned an NC-17 rating, but was later reclassified to an R rating. It was released on home video in September 2000. In 2019, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Okay, all right, so let's see. Okay, let me see. Oh yeah. Boys Don't Cry has been widely discussed and analyzed by scholars and others. Roger Ebert described the film as a romantic tragedy embedded in a working class American setting, calling it Romeo and Juliet set in Nebraska trailer park. Philosopher Rebecca Hanrahan argued that the question of identity, particularly Brandon's, is alluded to frequently in Boys Don't Cry, and that Pierce um, poses the nature of identification itself as the film's main question. Journalist Janet Maslin said the film is about accepting identity, which in turn meaning accepting the fate predisposed for that identity. Paula Nanchak called the film a bold cautionary tale. She regarded the film as a negative, dismal depiction of Midwestern America, writing that Pierce's film has captured the mystique and eerie loneliness and isolation of the Midwest with its dusty desolation and nowhere to frustration that propels people to violence and despair. Hold on. Christine um, Vacan, the film's executive producer, said it's not just about two stupid thugs who killed somebody. It's about these guys whose world is so tenuous and so fragile that they can't stand to have any of their beliefs shattered, referring to John and Tom's views of their lives, Brandon's aspirations, and his biological sex, along with um, other turn of the millennium films such as In the Company of Men, American Beauty, Fight Club, American Psycho. Vincent Hosman said Boys Don't Cry raises the widely explored issue of masculinity in crisis. Jason Wood said the film um, together uh, with Patty Jenkins' Monster 2003 is an exploration of social problems. Um, several scholars, um, several scholars commented on the relationship between Brandon and Lana, as well as Brandon's relationship to John and Tom. Carol Siegel regarded the film as a thematically rich love story between two ill-fated lovers, similar to Romeo and Juliet. Jack Hall Burstam attributed Boys Don't Cry's success to its ostensible argument for tolerance of sexual diversity by depicting a relationship between two unlikely people. This tragic aspect of the love story led Halberstam to compare Brandon and Lana's relationship and subsequent drama to classic and modern romances, including Romeo and Juliet, often using the term star-crossed lovers. In the Journal of Creativity and Mental Health, Janelle Veronique Aguilar discussed Brandon's ability to create interpersonal relationships in the film. She opined that Brandon wanted to create close relationships, but he could not due to his transgender status until he became close with Lana. Although Brandon is able to make a brief but authentic connection with Lana, he continues to experience a sense of aloneness in the world. He consistently faces a sense of fear related to the power over dynamics that he and others who are transsexual face. Brandon experiences the central relational paradox in which he yearns for connection, however, due to the real threat he faces, he's unable to make that connection. Mira Hurd in the International Feminist Journal of Politics argued that John and Brandon exemplify two different and contrasting types of masculinity, and that Brandon's version is enjoyed by the film's female characters, comparing them to Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jimmy Stewart, respectively. Um, Throughout the film, John offers the viewer a typified narrative of heteronormative masculinity. Um, against his against this hegemonic masculinity, Brandon offers a masculinity reminiscent of a bygone era of chivalry. Furthermore, she contended that John was threatened by Brandon's version of masculinity. Gender boundaries are taken extremely seriously in Western society, and Boys Don't Cry depicts how intensely threatened John and Tom are by Brandon's superior portrayal of a masculinity schedule. John cannot abide Brandon's desire and clear ability to access male privilege, and his reaction is to force Brandon to be female through the act of rape. Other commentators discussed the more complex psychological causes of Brandon's murder. Um, Halberstam commented on the complicated causes of the murder and whether it was due to transphobia or homophobia. Ultimately, in Boys Don't Cry, the double vision of the transgender subject gives way to the universal vision of humanism. The transgender man and his lover become lesbians, and murder seems instead to be the outcome of vicious homophobic rage. Ebert called the film a sad song about a free spirit who tried to fly a little too close to the flame. And in the same journal, Julianne Paduck commented on the film's rape and murder scenes. Effectively, the viewer is asked to experience the rape from the victim's point of view. The film invites political, emotional, and corporeal, corporeal allegiances into known and imagined risk, especially for female and or queer viewers. The allegiance with Brandon's outsider status aligned the viewer with Brandon's initial exhilaration at this transgressive success as a boy, drawing us through to the film's disturbing finale. Yeah. All right. So I'm not sure. There's no. I don't think there's any. Yeah. I don't think there's any. What is it? I don't think. Okay. So let's go to. Let's go to the premiere and commercial performance and critical reception. All right. Here we go. So Boys Don't Cry aired in Canada at the Toronto International Film Festival in September 1999. It premiered in the U.S. at the New York Film Festival on October 8th, 1999, to critical acclaim. It was shown at the Real Affirmations International Gay and Lesbian Film Festival in early October, where it won further praise and appeared at the Venice International Film Festival. Boys Don't Cry was given a special screening in snippets at the Sundance Film Festival. At that time, the film was still called Take It Like a Man. The film received a limited release theatrically on October 22nd, 1999 in the US, where it was distributed by Fox Searchlight Pictures, a subsidiary of 20th Century Fox that specializes in independent films. Initially, many viewers complained via email to peers that the film was not being shown near them, as the film was being shown on 25 screens across the country. However, this number increased to nearly 200 by March 2000. The film grossed 73,720 in its opening week. Um, by December 5th, the film had grossed to excess of $2 million. By May 2000, it had a U.S. total gross of $11,540,607. more than three times its production budget. Internationally, the film was released on March 2nd, 2000 in Australia and on April 9th, 2000 in the United Kingdom. Now we go to the critical reception. Critics lauded Boys Don't Cry upon its release, with many calling it one of the best films of the year. Review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes reports 89% of 80 professional critics gave the film a positive review, with an average rating of 7.90 out of 10. The site's consensus states harrowing yet stirring, Boys Don't Cry powerfully commemorates the life and brutally unjust death of transgender teen Brandon Tina. Another review aggregator, Metacritic, gave the film an 86 of 100 based on 33 reviews, indicating universal acclaim. One reviewer said the film was a critical knockout. Critics often praise the performance by Swank and Savini. Um, Peter Travers said the pair give performances that burn in the memory, and the film stage termed Swank's performance one of the greatest Best Actress Oscar-winning performances. Peter Stack of the San Francisco Chronicle lauded the lead acting performances of Swank, Savigny, Sarsgaard, and Sexton III, writing it may be the best acted film of the year. Online film reviewer James Bartinelli um, gave the film 3.5 stars out of 4. He highlighted the performances of Swank and Savigny as the film's greatest success and likened the film's intensity to that of a train wreck. Bartinelli wrote that Swank gives the performance of a career and that Savigny's performance is more fictional than Swank's, but no less effective. She provides the counterbalance to the tide of hatred that drowns the last act of the film. Emmanuel Levy of Variety called the acting flawless and concluded that the stunningly accomplished and candid film could be seen as a rebel without a cause for these culturally diverse and complex times. With the two misfits enacting a version of the James Dean Natalie Wood romance with utmost conviction, searching like their 50s counterparts for love, self worth, and a place to call home. Stephen Hunter of the Washington Post said the performances are of such luminous humanity that they break your heart. Premiere listed Swank's performance as one of the 100's greatest performances of all time. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly called Swank a revelation, and wrote by the end of her, Brandon Tina is beyond male or female. It's as if we were simply glimpsing the character's soul in all its yearning and conflicted beauty. Okay. Other reviewers were positive toward the way Boys Don't Cry portrayed its subject matter, and Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times listed Boys Don't Cry as one of the five best films of 1999, saying this could have been a clinical movie of the week, but instead it's a sad song about a free spirit who tries to fly a little too much to the flame. Janet Maslin of the New York Times said the film was stunning and gave it 4 out of 4 stars. Maslin said, unlike most films about mind-numbing tragedy, this one managed to be full of hope. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times praised the lack of romanticism. The romanticization and dramatization of the characters, and wrote Pierce and Bynum and the expert cast engaged us in the actuality of these ruthless, hopeless, stoned out lives without sentimentalizing and romanticizing them. And that Boys Don't Cry is an exceptional and exceptionally disturbing film. Hmm. Mike Clark of USA Today commented Pierce's depth of knowledge of the case and subject matter writing. Pierce seems to have researched her subject with grad school thesis intensity. Oh boy. Um, all right. I'm gonna scroll to okay. The accuracy of Boys Don't Cry was disputed by real life people involved in the murder. The real Lena Tisdale declared her dislike for the film. She said Brandon never proposed to her, and that when she discovered Brandon was transgender, she ended the relationship. Tisdale disliked the way she was portrayed in the film and called the film the second murder of Brandon Tina. Before the film's theatrical release, Lana Tisdale sued the film's producers, claiming that the film depicted her as lazy, white trash, and a skanky snake. And excuse me, and that her family and friends had to come see her as a lesbian who did nothing to stop a murder. Tisdale settled her lawsuit against Fox Searchlight for an undisclosed sum. Sarah Nissen, cousin of the perpetrator Marvin Nissen, was also critical of the film, saying there's none of it that's right. It was just weird. Leslie Tisdale, Lana's sister, called the film a lie of a movie. Lana Tisdale's potential involvement in the rape and murder of Brandon Tina was also highlighted. Various people involved in the case, particularly Brandon's family, have alleged that Tisdale was somehow involved with the murders or had at least set them up in an act of vengeance. Perhaps the most notable admission about Tisdale's motives came from Tom Neeson, who infamously confessed that Tisdale was present at the time of the murders in the car and had even tried knocking on the door of the farmhouse where Brandon Lambert and Divine were staying. Oh, okay, okay. Um, yeah, yeah, that's pretty rough. But anyway, the film um, won a variety of awards, most of which went to Swank for her performance. Swank won for Best Actress Oscar, while Civigny received a nomination in the category of Best Supporting Actress. From the Hollywood Foreign Press, the film received two Golden Globe nominations in the same two categories. Okay, same two categories as Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress for Swank and Savigny. Winning Best Actress, Swank and Savigny both received Best Actress awards from the New York Films Critics Circle, the Chicago Film Critics Association Awards, and the Independent Spirit Award. The film won three awards at the Boston Society of Film Critics Awards: Best Actress Swank, Best Supporting Actress Savigny, and Best Director Pierce. Swank and Savigny won satellite awards for their performances, and the film was nominated in two categories: Best Picture and Best Director. It was named one of the best films of the year by the National Board of Review of Motion Pictures. The family of Brandon Tina criticized Swank for repeated use of the male gender pronoun he in her Oscar acceptance speech. Tina's mother, Joanne Brandon, said her child's genderism was a defense mechanism that was developed in response to childhood sexual abuse, rather than being an expression of Tina's gendered sense of self. She said she pretended she was a man so no other man could touch her. Despite the criticism, Kevin O'Keefe, writing for Out, defended Swank's acceptance speech. She said Swank deserves a place in the great acceptance speech canon for being bold not only as an actress but as an award winner. Yeah. All right. All right. So let me continue where I left off with the let me continue where I left off with the thing. Hold on. Hold on a second, folks. Um, hold on. Hold on. There it is. All right. Okay. As I was left off, a ruin populated solely by killer robots is an unlikely place for quiet and permanent moments. But near Automata's ability to pull them off is its best feature. No humans remain on the planet. Some machines and androids struggle to find a purpose. Through a mixture of quests and brief exchanges, you encounter machines who read the works of long dead philosophers and androids driven mad by never ending conflict. These scenarios are accentuated by a haunting soundtrack that establishes a perfectly bleak atmosphere. Though, even though some scenes are stilted and forced, the strangeness is consistent and the characters are compelling enough to keep propelling you forward often in spite of the gameplay. Beyond their similarly um, melancholy backdrops, the connections between Nier Automata and the original Nier are peripheral but present for fans. Anyone can jump in with this title, and developer Platinum Games has ensured that the combat system is accessible to players of all skills, all skill levels. Excuse me. It looks like a lot like the stylish action of Bayonetta. Also from Platinum, with your characters performing flashy dodges while executing a variety of range and melee attacks. The format occasionally switches to a few different takes on the top down shooting genre, making you maneuver through a screen full of projectiles. These departures are neat, but are more like mini games than fully featured encounters. The core battle system is fast paced, third person action um, that provides simple fun, but a lack of meaningful progression prevents the gameplay from being satisfying over the long haul. You don't acquire additional techniques that open up new angles in battle, and the differences in your hero's abilities, um, like hacking foes instead of attacking them, doesn't add meaningful variety. As a result, your tactics at the beginning and end of the game are largely the same. Get new weapons with varying attack speeds and combo patterns, but they don't feel different enough to justify your ability to switch between two weapon sets, especially when comparing weapons that have been upgraded, which requires some component farming versus those who that haven't. The different visual effects are cool, but I really had a practical reason to stray from the weapon set I had invested in most heavily. Under the hood, the main source of growth comes from equipment plug-in chips that provide a wide range of bonuses, from increased melee attacks to health, health regeneration. Excuse Capacity for these is limited, so the strategy comes from maximizing benefit and minimizing costs through a clever fusion system. For instance, combining two chips that give you a 4% boost to weapon attacks is more cost effective than equipping them individually, freeing up space for additional. Excuse me. improvements. I like this in concept, but most plugins only provide percentage-based boosts to stat and abilities, so they don't do much to diversify your arsenal. Near Automata also has problems with repetition, an issue that plagued its predecessor. The story is stretched over three campaigns that send you back to the same areas, and even the exact same story moments and encounters. How and why this happens is one of Near Automata's surprises, so I won't ruin it. But don't be fooled when the credits roll. While this unfolding narrative and its hidden endings is an interesting experiment, it spreads the world too thin and doesn't add enough new information when you visit familiar situations. By the time I reached the true ending after nearly 40 hours, I felt like I only saw about 25 hours worth of game cut up and reconstituted in various ways. Some parts of Near Automata genuinely thrilled and surprised me, but it is a constant exercise in sacrifice. Combat has improved compared to the original Near, but it still isn't fully engaging. The progression system has cool ideas, but doesn't offer enough depth. The premise is fascinating, but it is dulled by repetition, ultimately tapping into the sad and unique story that flows under the surface of Near Automata makes these trade-offs worthwhile. But I'm disappointed by how deeply it's buried. Wow. Um, yeah, that's actually new. Um, okay. All right, let me see how much time I got here. Holy shit. All right, all right. All right, I think that's gonna do it for this episode right here. All right, so all right, for all you listeners out there, you are more than welcome to make a charitable donation to my Cash App, which is dollar sign G Money Stacks 555. That's dollar sign capital G lowercase MONEY capital S lowercase TACKZ 555. And once again, it's not about breaking the bank. It's all about doing the best you can as a individual, depending on what the amount is that you're comfortable with, will be appreciated. So there you have it right there. Um, right. So I think I'm going to actually I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to uh I think I'm gonna go to yeah the very last segment of the day is going to be stream choices on the go. Um, wait, hold on. There it is. Here we go. So, you like what you heard in today's episode 80 or any previous episodes whatsoever? Of course, you can show some love by following Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast on every streaming platform. Of course, follow the podcast on Instagram alongside with Excellent Fun Vibrant Podcast. I did add a word to it, so I'm not going to say exactly. Um, you have to stay tuned tomorrow on the sports podcast, so I will tell you about that. So, um, and you can also follow my other show, Off the Meat Rack Chains New York podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and alongside with myself on the primary handle on the gram is G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York. So yeah, you can turn your notifications on when each episode is going to be dropping, as the schedule goes. So there's Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays is when you're going to get the episodes. All right, so there you have it right there, and you can leave a voice message on there too. So you're more than welcome to leave a voice message on there. And if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts and talks about today's episode, Boys Don't Cry, in terms of Devvon Terell's album and the movie, um, and you can go ahead and do that. So there you have it right there. Now, if you go to the link in bio where it says Linktree/Meticulous Vibes Podcast, you're going to see a whole list of audio streaming platforms where you can listen and stream the episodes, which is Anchor, Audible, Audacity, Amazon Music, Breaker, Cashbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM Podcast, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podfm, Podo Polo, Podorama, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Reason FM, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Podcasts, and you're more than welcome to actually leave a 5-star rating on Podchaser, Podfriend, and Spotify. That'll be appreciated right there. And you can listen to Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast review show episodes on Radio Public alongside with iHeartRadio, the number one app for music, radio, and podcasts, alongside with following the other two podcast shows, which is excellent, which is my sports podcast. My sports podcast is on there. And of course you can follow Off the Meat Rack Chains New York podcast on iHeartRadio as well. So there you have it right there. And of course, last but not least, the YouTube. Make sure you grab the subscribe button and go ahead and click on the noti bell so you can be reminded when the show goes in the air via live stream and the time of when the recording is going to start. So you can leave a like and a comment alongside with the episodes and the topics that is reviewed. And upcoming episodes, more video content, previous episodes, and of course, share the videos, share the episodes. Of course, be sure you tell a friend to another friend. Be sure you stream, listen, download these episodes. Tell a friend to another friend. Spread the word. Word of mouth is important. And of course, be sure to share the podcast along with the link that says Linktree/Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast with all the audio streaming platforms, and of course includes YouTube. That's also included in there, with your wives, your husbands, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your friends, and people you're cool with, and all that other great stuff. So there you go, right there, man. And like I always say at the end of the show, of each podcast episode, the grind doesn't stop. Hard work pays off. Hard work pays off. And New York wasn't built in a day. So you gotta trust the process in terms of what you're doing and what you're creating. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, be sure to do something that makes you smile mentally, physically, and spiritually. All right? And of course, be sure to whatever you're doing, be sure to find your voice, find your skill, find your niche. And if you're doing a certain project, like trying to launch a podcast or whatever, of course, if you you have any questions, if in terms of what type of equipment that you need to start a podcast, of course I got you, man. I'm going to return to the podcast free game mechanisms in the next episode or a future episode. I know I haven't gotten on it as much, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, and don't let anybody stop you from accomplishing your goals and dreams or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not about the people that you're trying to please, man. It's all about you and what makes you happy. Of course, you gotta find something that clicks to you, and of course, what gets you into your zone. All right. So so of course, stay in your zone. Don't worry about trying to be in competition with anybody. The only individual you should be in competition is yourself. Period. Now, that's gonna do it for this episode right here, man. I'm G Money Stacks. Thank you very much for listening and tuning in and rocking with me and hanging out with me in episode 80 titled Boys Don't Cry. And and I'll see you in the next episode. And of course, be careful out there. Stay liquid. Be happy in the stuff that you're creating. Follow your dreams. Peace and one love. And enjoy the rest of your day and have yourselves a good night, folks.